there's pressure and where can I position myself to be in like the narrowest channel that pressure has to come through.
Yeah,
Something poetic like that, you know?
po poetic,
You know,
something
it's like
poetic.
like like how do you win at this game? Oh, you just do this. Oh, well, that's a piece of piss. I'll just do that then.
What's up, guy? What's up, Todd? How you going, man?
Hey, everybody.
How you guys
Who's
doing?
feeling bearish? Who's feeling bullish? Maurizio was just saying to me, Ian, I guess your fin rev must be short because you're smiling. I'm like, yeah, it's balls deep. And he's like, well, it's different when it's going your way, isn't it? And I'm like,
I
yeah,
know,
look, it is.
I
It
know.
is.
It's one of those things. Like we were chatting with Ian, and this is uh one of the challenges in terms of having multiple portfolios, right? And having that that like different like difference between shorts and longs. And let's say FinRev right now is making good money. Why? Because it's positioned short, and then you really hope that Bitcoin goes to zero. And
Mhm.
if that's the case, FinRev is going to make it a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
But if you hold some altcoins in your portfolio, right, then you're fucked. Like I say, fuck, should I sell? Should I not? Should I do? You know what I mean? Like it's a tough one without a strategy in a way, right? So obviously, um, having multiple portfolios is challenging. So try to understand that each portfolio has a different purpose for different times. So that's because
Mhm.
it's hard for me. I hold Bitcoin. I keep buying long term. Uh, like right now is an awesome place to buy right now. Like, and Ethereum is an awesome place to buy. We'll go through a bunch of stuff, but it's
Mhm.
different mindsets. You know what I mean? Like there's different things. I'm not aiming to make, but because at some point things will turn around, right?
Well, you only eat what you kill, you know. There's people like Todd in the group that are posting scalps that they've done.
I
You
know, mate. Oh man, you're great.
know?
Like Todd takes a lot of the stuff that we talk here and implements it. So he's, he spends good time in the charts and things like that. So I think, because I've been sharing a lot of good setups if you do for scalping, man. Like fuck, man, I wish I would have been trading in the US. Unfortunately, I'm not. I have a baby to take. You know what I mean? And it's just difficult to trade in different hours. So yeah, that's. But man, scalping now is fucking killer, man. Like to either direction, right? So we can go through a bunch of different charts and things like that, and trying to aim towards this long term bull run. Is
Mhm.
that going to be here? Is the bull run going to shift? No. Well, yeah. Let's go through the charts and things like that. So how do you guys feel after the Sunday? I've been talking about the 80K level for a while, right? Like we did talk about it for a while. Like, it's always
Mhm.
the possibility and that happened. And on top of that, on Friday, I talk about end of month shit. You know what I mean? And think about it from that perspective. If you short everything at the end of the month, there's a highly likelihood that you're gonna make money. That's your strategy right there, man. That's another
Mhm.
strategy right there, right?
Pitching.
And 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 it is a high percentile strategy that you short things. Stop
Mhm.
losses and things like that. Very hard to gauge. But if you have a digital account and you short everything at the end of the month, you're gonna make money. That's for sure. That's the only strategy. It's a freebie for you. You know what I mean? Like and that's it. So we are at the beginning of the month right now. Okay, so let's talk about that. So what's your take, Ian, in terms of crypto right now? And I want to hear you guys how you feel about crypto in general, about the markets.
Well, I remain neutral as ever, Maurizio, because I am a cold-blooded lizard of a trader that is perfectly
Hmm.
detached from the market. And
Hmm.
I sit down and I look at the candles, and what I see is fear and greed and pressure. Now, everything is just kind of falling off, you know. We've
Hmm.
slowly been drifting to the downside. If you pop up whatever selection of EMAs that you want. Some of the classic, I think 2150 EMAs, like if they haven't crossed over yet, then they're going to very, very soon. You know, there's a lot of bullish indicators on the weekly. There's a nice little line that you can draw that we've been struggling with for months and months. So to me, there's been a lot of bear market indicators for many, probably a couple of months now. And it feels like we're just starting to break to the downside, but there's no panic. I don't expect to wake up tomorrow and see us at 50. I'd like us to, but I don't imagine like the probability of us dropping to 50 this week, I would put at something like 5%, maybe even lower than that, okay?
Hmm.
Whether we get back up into the green range, like that sort of 86, 93 range, if you know what I mean, well, that's what we're going to test this week. So I think that we're in like a relief rally kind of phase.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just really not a lot to do this week other than see, you know, kind of because we've got no clear direction, is my belief. So I'm going to put 5% on that we go to 50,000. I'm going to put 85% on that we just kind of range around this price on this kind of relief rally, and then 5% that we get back into the green. So, in all seriousness, I'm in a kind of neutral gear this week with the
Mm.
market because it feels directionless. And I remember Scott saying, if you feel confused or directionless, just step back and say, all right, we're in a trading range.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. No, but that's good, man. That's good. And obviously, that's kind of the best um mindset to be in, like neutral.
Mm,
And it's hard, especially if you do have long-term portfolios and things like that, it's hard to get
mhm,
neutral. If you do a scalping only, and then let's say uh in my regular day-to-day trading, I try to just not hold any positions on in big leverage. But when I do big leverage, I just hold the full like a day or so, and then I that's it. You know,
mm,
make money or lose money. That's it, and that allows you to become neutral. You know what I mean? To see, okay, where is the market is heading today and things like that. So that's kind of where I think there's a lot of opportunities of of the market if you actually become neutral. And then if you actually become, so I don't give a fuck what happens. I just gonna go with what the market is going to do today or tomorrow, but
mm,
predict next week and the week after is getting harder in crypto. And you know what I mean? It's getting harder with
mm,
a lot of
mm.
manipulations and tokens and things like that. So yeah, that's good, man. So but let's get started. So
Mm.
yeah. Todd, I'm trying to figure out this DY custom strategy builder. Right. I'd like to hear more about it. All right, let's jump into. Let me just share my screen, and I have a few theses that I'm building this morning in terms of Bitcoin. So this is what we talked last week. This is the same scribbles that we did last week, and we did mention I was looking for these levels to get run by and see if we have momentum on Friday. This actually happened on Friday. And I noticed there was a lot of momentum loss here. So there was a highly likelihood that we were going to hit this 80K. So it just ran by the friggin' 80K. So what's next, right? Is this going to keep falling or is this a bounce right now? You know what I mean? Is this so if you guys like just post in the chat, is this going to have a continuation? Is this going to be a bounce? What are your thoughts like of those two options? Just bring out the chat. Yeah. Just want to hear your thoughts. Kaido, yeah, of course. Yeah, we're good on Kaido. Bearish continues, bounce, bear. It's going to bounce back soon. flat. Okay. The reason why I like to ask you guys is this reflects in a way, right? What's the market conditions when, you know what I mean? Like, and technically will you guys have all different opinions. And that's basically where we at in terms of the market. I have no fucking clue what's gonna happen here. And if you think about it, that basically will sort of be choppy in a way, right? So choppy is not the same thing as ranging, in my opinion. Okay, ranging is when you have a clear range that bounce and back and forward. Choppy is when people buy, sell, buy, sell. You can have prices outside ranges, things like that, and becomes really, really choppy. So let's explore all the opportunities here, the bear side and the bull side. And then we'll just go around what we, you know, what the market decides to do, because that's kind of the way that I like to approach things. So so I'm going to delete all this, but these are very, this is all the setups that I had planned, which they did not happen. Why? Because it wasn't a bounce on the 80, it wasn't a bounce of this level. So essentially, where is the next level that I'm looking for? Let me just delete all this shit. That wouldn't be a beautiful short, man. Beautiful short right here. Missed it completely. But yeah. So let's go. Let's start from the monthly, because we just yesterday we just closed the monthly, right? All right, monthly. This is the monthly. Okay, we just closed the monthly on Sunday, right? On Sunday we just closed the monthly. We haven't broken structure in a way, right? But it's been since October 2025. We haven't had a positive month yet. You think is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm just asking because I have no opinion. I have multiple opinions on this, so I'm just. What do you reckon, Ian?
Oh, sorry, Maurizio. I was actually distracted. What was the question, bro?
We are looking at the monthly chart, and
Hmm.
we have October, November, December, January now,
Hmm.
all negative, right? They all been negative months, right? Is that a good
Mm.
thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, it's not good or bad, but it's bearish.
All right, it's bearish from this perspective. Okay, do you think what are the levels that people might be thinking to bounce probably? So I'm thinking about this is the level
Yeah.
that I talked about last week, the 74,000. There is a
Okay.
highly likelihood that from the monthly perspective we touch this level here,
Hmm.
right? So we have this range from 74 and 71, let's call it 70 in a way, right? That it could
Mm.
actually bounce here, right? That's a beautiful bounce if it does the bounce here from the monthly perspective. Okay. So
Hmm.
so that's kind of, I'm doing this as I go. I did a little bit of analysis this morning, but I'm just gonna show you how I'm going to go about it, because I'm trying to figure out, is this, I'm going to place, like, I'll be looking for longs for a swing trade, sort of like long term, right? But we
Hmm.
have to be open to the short side of things as well. So that's the monthly perspective. It looks like it hasn't broken structure yet, right? So the structure will be broken completely from the monthly if we break this 70, but then we'll not know that until next month, as easy as that. So this could chop around these levels here. So an interesting range could be, if this holds, right? I think around 82,000, that could be a bounce, an interesting bounce to grab. I think the bounce is it could be, right. I do have a high probability on a bounce here, right? And let me show you why. So Now we got drop it down to the weekly. Fucking weekly looks horrible, man. Now this level is holding in a way, right? The 874. So we are in between. It could go either direction, right? It could go either direction right here. It could bounce right there, or it could actually start. So I'm going to start drawing from my weekly. This could be an ideal trade, or if it bounce here, right? If we start like the problem is in order to reclaim like a structural structure trend, we need to go above this level here in a way, right? So essentially for me, this is not nothing to do kind of scenario from the long-term perspective, right? So that's kind of the scenarios that I'm looking for, right? Can I short here? Do you guys feel comfortable shorting here if you want to short? Obviously, shorting is a skill that I will say, you have to treat it with a grain of salt because a lot of one of the that's why you see crypto doing something like this sometimes that actually bounce and then bang, you get one candle, one minute candle that actually does things like that. And that's basically the short squeezes, right? So that's the intricacy of a short, right? That at any moment, all those shorts get sort of stopped out in one candle with one like influx of liquidity. And that's kind of the only thing that you guys need to be aware of, right? In terms of shorting. That's why I don't post a lot of shorts because there's a lot of shorts that it could go against you really fast. Okay, so Martin, not short until the trust. If it breaks, yeah, it breaks the 50% around the 73, shows some weak market. It will continue short until 51,000. Okay, all right, a lot of interesting things. Yes, Todd, I think you're reading my mind. You're reading my mind, mate. I think we're aligned yeah, I'm gonna touch on that. Okay, so that's where we are with Bitcoin. There's in no man land, but we do have a little bit of support and resistance to going to go and watch. So if we drop it from the daily, right, I'll be watching those levels closely from the daily to see what happens today. The interesting thing is we did have this is Saturday low and Sunday low, which are very similar. That could be seen as people front running this level here. That could be an option. People front running this level here. And if they do, then more than likely, I want to see a little bit of a reclaiming this low at least. And probably perhaps that's when I will pile up for a long. Okay. Then I'll look for shorts around here, believe it or not, right? Because we are in a very sort of structure now. Now we're short here. Now we'll wait for pullbacks, and then we'll see if we have a little bit short momentum right back. Okay, so that's kind of from the technical perspective what I'm looking for. And Ethereum, let me just show you this interesting level here, which is okay. This level here, the 2100 is the one that I'm looking for to go long. That was a turning point on June 2025, right? You can actually see that Ethereum, turn around like almost non-stop at this level here. So that's going to be an interesting level to either hold or either break. If it breaks, I will short this thing until probably 1,000, believe it or not. There's not a lot of support resistance between those two levels, unfortunately, with Ethereum. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. So I will not do anything here. If it comes back here, so be it, and then I will catch the bull run, trend wise. But then until then, I either want to catch catch on important levels, right? And the next level that I'm seeing is the 2100, even the 2000. If Ethereum breaks the 2000, that's not going to be good for the crypto market. Same thing on Solana. So Solana, I did talk about the 100 level last week, or over. I don't know if it was on the call or it was. I don't remember. Um, yeah. Anyway, I was talking about the 100 level. Okay, why 100 level? Let's go Solana from monthly, right? So from the monthly, huge area here to break, right? The one. So everything has a support in a way, right? Give or take, right? So I'm very tempted to go long, believe it or not. Let me just where are you? Oh, right here. Okay, this area here can actually see from the monthly. Very interesting. So if I bring it now from the weekly, right, we are just right there on that area there. So this could be a very attractive. If bulls are not getting here, things are not going to look good. Why? Because this is an attractive price to buy. Like on Ethereum, very attractive, right? Give or take. Bitcoin, it's not that attractive. I think it's going to be very attractive at the 50,000 level, give or take, right? For people to actually ape in. Still, 80K. And this is what I've been saying in terms of, do you think 80K? Oh, no, not 80K. 77K is cheap or expensive for Bitcoin? And I keep asking you these guys because obviously this is what I mean in terms of, value and what do you perceive as value and things like that. But we were talking about this at 100K. So today I will ask you, is this attractive? Do you think 77 is cheap? Or do you think that 77 is too expensive?
Oh, it's getting tricky to answer, isn't it?
I know.
You know,
I don't have an answer, man. Like,
I've got
exactly.
I've
Like
got a
that.
feeling though, Maurizio, and
Me
my
too.
feeling is that I'm in that kind of, well, you know what? I think I
Yeah.
could get it a little bit cheaper.
Yep. I
That's the
agree.
feeling I've got, It's like it's cheap, but I think I could get a little bit better.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. And obviously I'm a long-term bullish on Bitcoin, right? So
Mhm.
I do believe that Bitcoin will get at some point at more than 200K. So from that perspective, anything that I get below 77 or below that, I'll keep buying. You know what I mean? But that's a long-term perspective, and that's a different thesis. You know what I mean? So that's kind of
All right,
in
let me hit you with a question out the blue then,
Yep,
Maurizio. This behavior that we're seeing, this bearish behavior, right?
yep.
What game are the institutions playing? In the sense
I
of they bought Bitcoin, right? And surely these fuckers just sell it all the time at micro prices or whatever, and they're just grifting money all the time. So like we're seeing all this downside, but is it controlled downside? It feels different. It doesn't feel like the ass. We went up slowly, so why wouldn't we come down slowly? And is it the big boys?
well, let me. There's a few things that I don't know, but let me because obviously no one knows what the institutions are doing in a way. You can try to guess, or by looking at the open interest, at the spots, at the ETFs, you could guess what they're doing in a way. But behind the scenes, you have no fucking clue if they're shorting the market. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the different, like the problem with the institutions now. Something that I could say is you mentioned, all right, went up slowly and it came down hard. Right? That usually is how the psychology of the markets work, right? Think about it from the perspective, and that's why I like shorting a lot because shorts usually happens quite fast. And the reason why, like, it's not the same thing going bull and going short. You have to have a different mindset on both. Think about it from the perspective that when prices appreciate in value, they usually appreciate in value slowly because people are, oh, okay, I'm gonna buy, and things keeps going up and 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 up, unless there's manipulation and things just go out of blue, or you have news, you know what I mean? Like Nvidia just released a freaking new AI model that is going to make the world safe or whatever, and everybody wants to ape in, because they think that the price will come back to that price. So that's that's the behavior of a bullish sort of run, right? Now, when markets drop, there is a lot of things that go into there. So the first thing is profit taking, right? So think about people that actually bought here, right? They're going to start taking profits. Then market starts dropping, then you have the stop losses, right? Then you do have liquidations. Then you have panic. So that's why you see all these cascade events that happens when price drops. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the different behaviors of the bull or a price appreciating trend, or a drop, bang, and then it bounces, because obviously that's when a lot of people sold already. And if no one, if let's say this is a pretty interesting events here, like from the weekly perspective, this is a really interesting candle. And the reason why is if people got stopped out and things like that, they kind of stop selling. And when a lot of people stop selling, then buyers will be in control until new sellers come along. You know what I mean? So that's why you get these capitulation candles, and that's why you market bounce. But then what we're trying to find out is, are going to be interested in buying if this price reclaims those levels there? Is going to be people willing to say, oh, fuck, all right, yeah, 85 is good. Let's buy. Let's go. This is going to go to 300. Is that the time now? Or will have continuation? And that's kind of any market then. So with that being said, Todd mentioned something about the S&P 500 and the market, and I'm going to talk about what happened, like what I'm kind of perhaps this is a thesis that I might expand on it during the week. So last week we were talking about the yen and the Russell and all that sort of stuff, because obviously we had a yen that, let me bring it to the daily, right? We have a huge drop. No, this is the inverter, sorry. That's the one. Okay, we had a huge drop, right? So yen came down hard. I was expecting de-risking of markets. We did talk about it last week. I was expecting end of month stuff, you know what I mean? But now it looks like yen is being contained. So if this, because it's actually bringing here. So if this is being contained, more than likely, liquidity is going to flow into risk asset again. Okay. So this could be an interesting, like I've been tracking this for the whole week. I've been showing you guys. On top of that, we have the DXY, which is the dollar index, right? So this is basically, for those that don't know, the dollar index measures the strength of the dollar against all currencies, right? So dollar against yen, dollars against Canadian, dollar against euro, a pound, vice versa, right? So this is kind of the strength. Now, usually, on regular market conditions, when this drops, is because the dollar is weak. Therefore, there is a transition from dollar into an asset, whatever asset it is, whatever people perceive as strong, right? And it was that, but it wasn't a lot of things happening like in the market. And on top of that, we had the US yen. So obviously there's a lot of uncertainty there. Now it's sort of being contained as well. I don't like to see a massive push, to be honest, because obviously if you see a massive push, that means that liquidity now flows into the dollar and not into assets. So that's kind of things that I'm watching. So I want to have, this is kind of part of the thesis. I wanna make sure that this sustain, that this is just a deviation and this is just ranging, or it hopefully keeps going. DYX sort of sustains as well in value. Ideally, perhaps that's going low as Bitcoin sort of recovers, and that will be the perfect setup. Now, the interesting thing here is what's happening with gold, right? With gold and with silver. So gold, right? Huge drop, right? We're talking about from peak. We have 18%, right? Drop on 3 days, technically. Okay. Same thing with silver, right? Same thing with silver. So what this could be seen as is as people obviously taking profits, and we could start seeing a rotation into risky assets. You know what I mean? This is actually very positive because obviously a lot of either people took profits or say people, oh fuck, people that bought like fuck. And obviously this isn't any single market. It's not only crypto. See, if you actually buy the tops, which you don't know when the top is going to be honest. Like the top could look like here or here, but this is definitely a top. Why? But this is on hindsight. Okay. This is on hindsight. It's very it's very you'll hear about people saying, oh, don't buy the top, don't be stupid. What is the top, man? Is the top here, the top here, the top here? Of course, it's very easy to look in hindsight because this is the top, right? But it's very hard to actually do it on a live sort of day-to-day trading, right? So yeah, anyway. So coming back to this, what I'm seeing now, a lot of de-risking here, a lot of people taking profits. So this could be either if it holds here or if it has continuation to the downside. But what I'll be looking to is where is this money is going to go, right? Is this money is going to go into the DYX or is this going to go into the SAP? If we have a look at the S&P 500, right? The S&P 500 is actually, we start seeing a little bit of a drawdown, a little bit, right? But it's holding pretty well here. And if we have a look at the Russell, right? The Russell is de-risking as well. So my question for the next week is going to be, where is the money from metals, right? From dollar, from silver, from gold? Is that actually going to flow into crypto now? That's a thesis. You know what I mean? That's an interesting thesis. So how do I know that? I don't know. But if I'm start seeing, you know, like I say, the DYX, like I explained, and the USD, so hold the yen and the USD holding. So we put that aside, like put it in history. Then I could definitely see Bitcoin recovery at this point, not from the levels perspective, but from the fundamentals, right? So I'm still thinking that we might be able to actually retest these lows here, maybe. So that's kind of things that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. You know what I mean? So obviously that's my thesis. So if I pair that with open interest, let's go with open interest right now. And Todd, Todd was asking a very good question in the group in terms of you know, I usually go with daily, you know, the way hold on, my mouse is not working for some reason. There we go. Okay. I usually do the top-down analysis from monthly, weekly, daily, as you guys notice, and usually I look at the daily, from long-term trades, I look daily, but also I look at the 6 hours chart right here, right? So 6 hours is kind of a good gauge for me in terms of like every 6 hours, technically give or take is a session, right? US session, London session. So that's, I want to see the behavior of how the sessions work. And that's kind of why I do it, right? I'm not saying this is the right way or wrong way. I'm just saying why I do it, right? So with that being said, I have with open interest, and the reason I have 4 hours and I have the 30 minutes. Open interest works really, really well when you actually read the open interest, it works really, really well with the small time frames. Why? Because you're able to see how many contracts are open, and it depends on the market duration. You can actually perhaps see. Actually, 30 minutes is a really big time frame to read the open interest in a way. So this works really well in 3 minutes or even a minute, but I am pretty sure you guys don't want to go there. And the reason I see the 30 minutes, right, is because I want to see the story. So when you see a candle, right, let's say, let me, this is a perfect example, probably. This candle here, the daily. The daily, you see that open here, drop here, and you have a little bit of a retracement. Okay, that's the only information that you will see within that candle, right? However, when you start this candle, right, within a day, it could have been so many things, right? It could have been so many sort of shape and form. So you have a candle that looks like this on a daily, right? But then within the day, you could actually see that it does this. And then in 1 minute, you do this. And then the other minute, you do this, right? This price is not constructive because this is manipulation in a way. And you could have something like this on a 30 minutes or on a 15 minutes, right? And this price is constructive. And then you got something like this, and then you got something like this. Same candle result on a daily, same different story on a small time frames. Okay, so that's kind of why I like to watch the video, the markets on 30 minutes, even less than that when I do scalping. So I hope this makes sense. You know what I mean? Like in terms of why I use the 30 minutes. So if I go to the 30 minutes now, right? And if I want to build a story behind this, what the fuck is happening with the markets, right? So essentially the drop started here, right? The drop started at the 1st of February and obviously the 1st of February, this is my time, this is Australian time. So at 00 hours, right? So you can start seeing the drop happening here, bang, and you start seeing people buying at this level here, right? But where is this buying? This is not buying. This is just liquidations happening from these levels. So I can visualize those individual things that I will not be able to watch on the 4-hour or even on a 6-hour sort of behavior. So I know that there was a lot of people liquidated here at this particular level, right? Because I have my liquidations here. And funny enough, on those liquidations, usually a spot comes in, right? So you see that spot coming through, bam, 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 bam. And then, you know, you start building the story of what's happening throughout the day, throughout sessions, throughout, you know, buying or seller. So this is obviously I use it a lot for scalping, of course, but this actually is going to build the story of price sustainability long term, because at some point, when market shifts or trend shifts, it starts a lot. The first thing that's going to start is low time frames, and then start building them into bigger time frames and bigger time frames and bigger time frames. But I usually use the open interest or the spot on higher time frames. Is rarely, like, I just see it for reference, but I always sort of build my story from these charts. I hope that makes sense.
That's very interesting, man. The storytelling side of it is fascinating, you know.
Awesome, Todd. Glad you asked that question, because obviously, yeah, probably I missed it, and you know what I mean. And I just tell you what I do. That doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just to tell you how I approach the reading of the charts. Because at the end of the day, as a trader, basically, the skills is how do you interpret the data that is in front of you, and whatever data it is. You have candles, you have open interest, you have liquidations, you have this, you have this, you have indicators, you have as many things. How do you interpret that? That's going to be the way that you basically read the market, right? And hopefully it's right, and sometimes you're wrong, but then you're never gonna be 100% right, never. That's a fallacy, never, never, never. So that's when risk management comes along. So yeah. All right, so how many alts will 100x coming out in this fucking time? I have no fucking clue, man. James, I have no idea, man. Here's my, you know what I mean? Like, it's a tough because you don't know where the liquidity is going to go at this particular time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like, I know, man. All right, good. Because I have no idea, man. Let's see. So let's analyze from the alt perspective, so that's why I went long on CC on Saturday. I was watching the markets and things like that, and I usually don't do it, but this is what I was looking at, and I'm still. I think that could, to be honest, when you start seeing relative strength. So, do you guys understand the concept of relative strength? Perfect, James. Yes. All right, Lynn. Relative strength is when you have this is the best way to visualize relative strength or relative weakness is by looking at your spaghetti charts, right? Let me just reload this thing. So relative strength is when you have an asset, and let me just load this. All right, let me just open this one because that's the one that I was looking at. Okay, relative strength, you have different assets, right? And this is basically when you draw this line, is basically telling you the how it moves in percentage wise, not in price, in percentage. Okay, so when you start seeing that the S&P 500 basically is flat, but then hype starts going relatively strong. It's very strong against all these assets. That's when you say, okay, now we know that we have relative strength on hype because it's relative against all these markets. That's what relative strength is. Same as relative weakness. So when you start seeing that assets actually just going down against whatever asset you're measuring against, that's relative strength weakness. So you can go short on those ones if you really want to. Anyway, so this is what we were sort of looking at, right? Hype, BNB, Bitcoin. So this is the relative strength that is happening right now against the S&P 500, right? So Bitcoin is getting up there, but hype, funny enough, is actually holding relatively strong, right? So this is going to be my go-to on the next trade on leverage. Why? Because even though if Bitcoin drops, when Bitcoin is dropping a lot, hype is still holding. So with that being said, let me add CC to this. Okay. Now you see why we went into CC over the weekend.
Wow.
Because, sorry?
I said, wowzers. This is seeing under the hood.
Exactly. So when you start seeing coins that even though when the market share holds its relative value, there is a highly likelihood that when things bounce, these things are going to break out. We were talking with Todd. Todd actually did a good question last week about breakouts and front running the breakouts and things like that. And that's when usually relative strength comes in and you have that price breakout. So if we talk about price action on CC, right? CC is almost a price discovery. So on Friday, fuck man, I don't like okay, it's still holding like and this is risky, right? So obviously my risk management is not that like I'm not risking a lot with this trade, but I want to add more. But I want to sort of aim for the breakout. And we had a huge drop on Bitcoin, right? And then we have the 3 days that he held. So there is a high now. I think today I'm gonna add more in this one because he held back pretty good from a horrible fucking weekend, right? So this is kind of the perfect example of relative strength. Can I be completely wrong? And this could bounce at the top, right? And crash and die? Yes, definitely. So this is the one that we went in on Saturday, right? And you know what I mean? If you want to do a safer sort of trade, you wait for the breakout, right? And then if we do have a pullback, then this could do price discovery. To which price? Who the fuck knows, man? Can this do 10x, 5x, 100x? I don't know, man. 1% only? Who knows? Depends on what people will perceive this as valuable. As simple as that, right? But man, it looks good though. It looks pretty good. Very hard to do. That's why I put the stop loss really low here because it could get choppy. I knew end of the month, you know what I mean, things like that. But I did want to get positioned just in case that happened. So that's the reasoning behind it. All right. So obviously, I hope you it makes sense.
Yeah, you see that question from Brad?
Where is Brad? Brad. His ACC was scalp. I'm already out. How do you hold? Okay. Why did I say the scalp? Because I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know. We've been it's going to be tough to say if this is going to price discovery. It's hard to say for me. This could go to 400 and next day could drop like this. You know what I mean? It's very hard to know if that's going to hold or not before it happens. You know what I mean? So the reason why so I have yeah, is that's the reasoning behind it. You can actually get back in if you want, you know what I mean? Or you can hold spot and there is a likelihood that this one could do well if we have that breakout. And there's a few things that need to happen, I think. If Bitcoin bounce at these levels, which this could fuel this one up, right? Until where? I have no idea, man. Like, unfortunately, I have this very, very hard to say if this is going to be the future of finance or if this is going to do this. We had stuff in the past that that it did this. It broke. It gave us 100%, and then in 2 hours and 3 hours, it came down, man. So unfortunately, that's the reason why I put it there because I'm not entirely sure, according to the market conditions, if we were going to be able to hold this for an hour or hold this for 5 days, unfortunately. So yeah, I hope that you get my you hope I hope you know that answers the question. Todd is so volatile, and if I were to long CC, I wouldn't be on spot. Yeah, definitely spot. That would be a really good idea, Todd. You know what I mean? That's why I don't mind to because in terms of risk management, I have my stop loss around here, right? Around the point 33, the point 13. But on breakout, I might add more. Depends on how this behaves throughout the days. You know what I mean? Or why also is a scalp because if this goes to I don't know 30, I'm just making it up a price, right? 30 cents or something, you can take some profits, move the stop loss, and keep adding more if this actually becomes a token that it will just rip off. You know what I mean? So many options, right? So that's kind of things that you have to gauge in terms of volatility. And right now the market is not, in a moment to hold long term, to be honest, unless we start seeing, right? Unless we start seeing this coming back up like that, and then long term holding, and then like that. That's kind of when I'm saying, all right, at this stage is basically things that I can see in relative strength. And if we have about Bitcoin bouncing, then there's a highly likelihood that these ones will start coming up. So I have Hype, right? Hype looks pretty good right now. It's holding pretty well this level here of 31. So same thing. If we start seeing a bounce on Bitcoin, I think this will have continuation, right? I was looking at Rose because Rose had a little bit of strength as well. So it's been kind of interesting. So don't know much about this. This is an old project, man. Rose has been like, but I'm seeing a lot of relative strength here. I'm seeing things interesting on SEC. So SEC finally hit the 200 EMA here, but I don't know about SEC, man. Also, I'm seeing a lot like the same suspect, Sui. I'm still looking to get into Sui, right? Because everything looks like shit. And if we start seeing a bounce on Bitcoin, I think all these assets are going to start going nuts. Arrow, my favorite. I think this one is, if this one, I'm ready to do another trade here. If this starts doing like this, then you do have sort of like a good risk reward ratio in a way, like something like that, right? If we start seeing recovery, I think this one could do, risk whatever here, and then it could give you 10 reward. So if you risk 500, it will give you 5,000 or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So this is when good opportunities come. So I think this week it could get really, really interesting. Really interesting. Sorry, interesting. Michael, do you think more people will sell gold and silver on Monday? Have no idea, man. Have no idea. I have no data to say. This. Okay, let's. Here's a few things that I know in terms of silver, and think that obviously when a lot of assets going nuts, then there's leverage. A lot of these crypto platforms are starting to add in the tokenized version of silver, and that allows leverage into the system. I know that HIP-3, which is basically the Hyperliquid, added a bunch of metal stuff that you can actually trade on leverage. So my question could be, from that perspective, is if that drop is just leverage being flushed, and then you're gonna have continuation, right? So that's something that I don't know. Like, is this leverage being flushed? Because if people think that this is never going to stop and they start going into getting positions on leverage, then either they're going to get stopped out, or they're going to get liquidated if they have leverage in it. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I don't know, man. Those are my thesis from that perspective, right? So in terms of, is this going to have continuation? Don't know, because this isn't actually in price discovery. Like, if you look at gold, this is gold, right? And let me get this on the weekly. This is gold, not the real gold. So this is all-time highs here. Okay. So this is in price discovery. This is what price discovery means. This is what I expect to grab on CC at some point. You know what I mean? Like price discovery. And obviously now you start seeing what good supports would look like. So 4,000 or maybe 3,200 or maybe this, and this going to be ranging for until we get another push to the upside or down, and then that's how markets form. But this is now the uptrend looks like it's losing a lot of momentum now. You can actually see that the momentum is sort of getting lost. So I don't see a lot of institutions wants to buy here. They usually wait for pullback, mean reversion. You can actually start seeing that the 200 EMA on the daily is way past to be reverted. So maybe that's when people are gonna get positioned. So yeah, so many ifs, man. So many ifs when you start looking at price discovery prices. So, and that's where we add in gold and silver, technically. So many potential things in the US. I know. Yes, exactly. Eugene, that's another thing that I was going to talk about. You have a lot of political shit going on. You have Iran now, Trump, you have all this stuff. So things are going to get very volatile in a way. So very hard to get position on leverage as well. Brad, these calls are informative, wish they were bi-weekly. And no, I'm not. Okay, fair enough. Doing weekly. Nothing really happened this week, so well, an institution game. Yeah, I agree, Todd. I agree. So probably will not do much, right? Unless you do scalping, but by all means, this is not the time to do much, but this is the time to be aware of bounces. You know what I mean? That's kind of something that I don't want to miss in a way, right? Because if all the ducks align, like I say, there is a good time to get positioned. Yeah, so don't want to do much, but be very reading the market pretty much every day. Like this is well something that I do pretty much every day, just because you don't know when things are going to come hard, and that's basically what I'm watching for. So, and yeah, besides that, man, I have nothing else for you guys. I have nothing else. It's been a tough early yeah, trading wise. So yeah.
All right. That's an awesome call. See you in the group. Look
All
forward
right,
to the
guys.
update during the week,
Have a good one.
Mauricio. All the
Bye bye.
best. Ta-da.
Cheers.